Hello my friends, and welcome to part 3 of this 4-part mini-series where we are looking at every card from the Japanese-only expansion sheets, also known as the vending machine cards. And yes, this is part 3, so be sure to check out part 1 where I looked at all of the blue series cards, and part 2 with the red series. Part 4 will be a combination episode where I'm looking at all of the vending cards that were not featured in Pokemon Trading Card Game 2, as well as the exclusive cards only featured in TCG 2. It'll be a fun time. But for now, it's high time we give a look at Series 3, the Green Series. Series 3 was released in Japan on November 24th, 1998, 5 months after Series 2, and this would be the last series in the set. The blue and red series both came on sheets in vending machines that contained 3 cards and then some coins and damage counters in the top right quadrant. Each series consisted of 6 areas, each pertaining to different areas around Kanto, and then 3 possible sheets per area. And for you math smarties out there, you already figured out that that adds up to 18 possible sheets. But the green series does mix it up a little bit. There are still 18 sheets consisting of 6 areas with 3 sheets each, but gone are the coins and damage counters. Instead, there is now a bonus card in the top right spot. These aren't actual game cards, but more so miscellaneous or gag cards that could be joke cards, deck lists, etc. The backs of the cards don't have the traditional TCG logo, so the joke ones really can't be thrown into decks. Although I guess you technically could, because all of these have the same back, so it's not like you know exactly which miscellaneous card it's going to be. The backs of these cards show a circle with 7 Pokemon: Clefairy, Diglett, Squirtle, Pikachu, Charmander, Mew, and Bulbasaur. Since these aren't real TCG cards, I will still be discussing them in the episode, even though they aren't in TCG 2, so I'm kinda going against my own rule, kinda not. It's my series, I'll do what I want. Anyway, we now have an extra card per sheet to go over, so let's just jump right into it. Area 1 is going to be Lavender Town. Sheet 1 contains Cubone, Pokemon Tower, and Bellsprout, with the bonus card being The Puzzle of Pokemon Tower. Sheet 2 contains Ghastly, Weepinbell, and Cubone, with the bonus card being Uyama's Pikachu. Sheet 3 contains Haunter, Bellsprout, and Ghastly, with the bonus card being For Prize Battle. Vending Cubone is a 40 HP fighting common with the move Bone Toss. For 1 fighting, Bone Toss has you flip a coin. Heads, the defending Pokemon takes 30 damage. Tails, one of their benched Pokemon takes 10 damage. Heck yes, this is awesome. I love when cards can do damage to bench Pokemon, and this Cubone is going nuts. If you aren't hurting their bench, then the Pokemon you're against is still taking 30 damage for a single energy. 40 HP is low, but it is an unevolved one, so it's to be expected. I love this card though. The artwork has Cubone peeking around a corner, getting ready to toss that bone. A great starting card all around. Pokemon Tower is actually one of the only Green Series cards not in TCG 2. Yeah, most of Series 3 made it over, as opposed to Series 2, which easily had the most. So this one will be saved for Part 4. Vending Bellsprout is a 40 HP Grass Common with the moves Sway and Stun Spore. For 1 colorless, Sway prevents all damage done to Bellsprout on the next turn with a Heads Flip. For 1 Grass, Stun Spore does 10 and paralyzes with a Heads Flip. Pretty basic, not a whole lot to it. I really like the artwork here too. Bellsprout itself is in the standard pose, but I like it contrasted with the different shades of purple leaves and pink ground behind it. Very colorful. And then we have our first special card, the Puzzle of Pokemon Tower. This is literally just a checklist of a potential deck idea created by Media Factory. I won't go over every card, but I will mention the Pokemon they say to use. 2 Vending Ghastly, 2 Fossil Ghastly, 4 Vending Cubone, 3 Team Rocket Mankey, 2 Vending Pidgey, 2 Jungle Meowth, 1 of each Vending Haunter, 1 Fossil Haunter, 1 Vending Marowak, and 1 Jungle Marowak. This is a pretty cool idea, really. The deck is, of course, Psychic and Fighting themed, but all based around Pokemon you find near Lavender Town and in the Pokemon Tower. I'd say this could be a fun deck to try on TCG 2, but alas, not every card is in the game. So it couldn't be 100%. I like this idea a lot, as it gives you something to strive for that includes cards from multiple expansions. Vending Ghastly is a 40 HP Psychic Common with the moves Spookify and Fade to Black. For 1 colorless, Spookify prevents your opponent from playing trainer cards on their next turn. For 1 Psychic and 1 colorless, Fade to Black does 10 and confuses with a Heads Flip. The Ghost Pokemon tend to have fun gimmicks with them, so I like this one. Stopping trainer cards could be huge, especially if you're trying to stall to get better cards. And confusion is always rough to deal with. The artwork has a pretty cool sketch-style drawing of Ghastly with Pokemon Tower in the background. I like it. Vending Weepinbell is a 60 HP grass uncommon with the moves Regeneration and Dissolve. For 1 grass, Regeneration completely heals Weepinbell, but you discard all energies and the Weepinbell card itself, reverting back to Bellsprout. This is like a last-ditch effort to prevent your opponent from getting a prize. For 2 grass, Dissolve does 20 damage, and then your opponent discards an energy attached to that Pokemon with a heads flip. This is kind of a fun one. The cheap 2 energy cost makes Weepinbell a pretty quick attacker, with the option of a complete heal, although with a harsh penalty. The artwork has a bold-lined Weepinbell hanging off a branch in a forest. It's simple, but I like it. The bonus card of Uyama's Pikachu is a parody card that is not meant to be used in games, but just try and stop me, you know? It's a 50 HP lightning type with the moves Greetings and Fake Sleep. For 1 colorless, Greetings does about 10 damage, but only if your opponent is in an unguarded moment, and only if you're polite about it. For 2 lightning, Fake Sleep does 30, but only if you pretend to be asleep and your opponent is in an unguarded moment. So when I was a kid, I used to have this board game based on Mad Magazine, and it was all about silly stuff like this. I don't own it anymore, so I don't remember a lot of details about it, but this card immediately reminded me of it. It is not meant to be taken seriously, and would honestly probably cause an argument as to whether or not your opponent was actually in an unguarded moment. It's called Uyama's Pikachu, as it's named after one of the TCG designers, Koichi Uyama. Then we have one of the 2 Vending Haunters, interesting, and this one is a 70 HP Psychic Uncommon with the moves Poltergeist and Bad Dreams. For 1 Psychic, Poltergeist does 10 damage for each trainer card in your opponent's hand. For 2 Psychic, Bad Dreams does 20 and puts the defending Pokemon to sleep with a heads flip, confuses them with a tails flip. Another fun gimmicky ghost one. Poltergeist not only could do some damage, but it could also cause your opponent to use up their trainer cards that they may have been saving up. And you can see what's in their hand too. But if that doesn't work, Bad Dreams isn't bad at all. Damage and a status condition will happen. I actually love the artwork style too. Haunter looks great, but unconventional, flying above a graveyard. Big fan of this card. And finally we have the last bonus card, this time as an extra rules card. This one is called 4 Prize Battle, which is exactly how it sounds. Each player puts out 4 prize cards instead of 6. The card obviously isn't needed for you to do this, but it could be cool to have as like a declaration or an extra rule chosen at random or something. The artwork is just 2 smiling faces with, that's right, 4 prize cards in the back. The majority of the matches in the GBC games are 4 prize battles anyway, so this already does happen in those games. Area 2 is going to be a return to Cinnabar Island with Cinnabar Island number 2. Sheet 4 contains Growlithe, Ponyta, and Pidgeotto, with the bonus card being Imakuni's Corner. Sheet 5 contains Magmar, Vulpix, and Ponyta, with the bonus card being 20 damage from Confusion. And Sheet 6 contains Weezing, Vulpix, and Growlithe, with the bonus card being Ouch at the Pokemon Mansion. Vending Growlithe is a 50 HP Fire Common with the moves Errand Running and Ember. For 2 colorless, Errand Running has you search your deck for any trainer card to put in your hand with a heads flip. For 1 fire and 1 colorless, Ember does 30 and you discard a fire energy on Growlithe. Yeah, a lot of early fire types have you discard fire energies, so this is par for the course. I like the option of Errand Running though. Searching for any trainer card in your deck could shift the whole momentum of the game. The artwork has this good boy sleeping underneath a table looking peaceful as heck. Very wholesome. Vending Ponyta is a 40 HP Fire Common with the moves Smash Kick and Live Coal. For 1 colorless, Smash Kick just does 10. For 1 fire, Live Coal does 20, and then you discard an energy on Ponyta with a tails flip. Doesn't have to be fire. Yeah, we got Vending Rapidash back in Series 1, so now we finally get Ponyta. Weird. And the artwork has Ponyta kicking with its back legs in a stone hallway. Reminds me of the hallway in Resident Evil 4 or something. Vending Pidgeotto is a 60 HP colorless uncommon with the moves Twister and Fly. For 2 colorless, Twister does 20, and then with a heads flip, all trainer and energy cards on that Pokemon goes back to your opponent's hand, unless it is getting knocked out. For 3 colorless, Fly does 30, but if a tails is flipped, nothing happens. If a heads is flipped, all damage and effects done to Pidgeotto on the next turn is prevented. A true all or nothing move here. Both moves can be pretty scary here too. The artwork has a bit of a disheveled looking Pidgeotto on a mountain with a cloudy background. The bonus card of Imakuni's Corner is just a card with some sentences explaining the infamous Imakuni card. It says, Hello, how is everyone doing? I started Pokemon cards recently. Pokemon cards are extremely interesting, but there is one thing I sometimes want to say. Da-dum, that is to say, the Imakuni card is useless. Da-da-dum. Does everyone know what Imakuni card does? It says, when you play this card, your active Pokemon is now confused. It's your Pokemon, Y-O-U-R-S. How can that be? So Imakuni fans all across the country are crying. They're crying. But the Imakuni card's in my deck. I'll use it someday. Yeah, the Imakuni card really just does confuse your own Pokemon. I feel like there could be an entire video on the character of Imakuni, but this is less of a card and more of a message, I guess. Pretty interesting, right? Interesting. Vending Magmar is a 60 HP Fire Uncommon, common on the GBC, with the moves Burning Fire and Magma Punch. For 1 fire, Burning Fire does 10, and then 10 more for each fire energy you choose to discard from Magmar. So it's kinda like a combination of Ember and Water Gun. For 2 fire and 1 colorless, Magma Punch does a simple 40. So you get the option of really saving up to do some damage with Burning Fire, or take the safe 40 and keep your energies. Or, you know, only using Burning Fire because you can't get enough energies for Magma Punch. And yes, this was one to get both an English release as a Black Star promo in March 2002 through the Pokemon League, and as one of the Japanese Quick Starter gift set cards. The artwork is Magmar breathing fire downward, not a whole lot to it there. Vending Vulpix is a 50 HP Fire Common with the move Foxfire. For 2 fire, Foxfire does 10, but you have the option of switching your opponent's Pokemon with a benched one before dealing damage. It's an auto-optional Gust of Wind. That's amazing. Sure, it's only dealing 10, but you basically choose who you're dealing damage to every turn, potentially stopping a strategy of powering up energyless ones. I love it. This was also one to get a Pokemon Web release as an early E-Reader card. The artwork is pretty good. Vulpix is standing amidst a wheat field, I think, except its head fur is brown instead of red here. Then we get the bonus card of another extra rule one, this time called 20 Damage from Confusion. To be honest, I'm a little confused myself by this one. It says, this is a simple rule for when Pokemon uses an attack while it is confused, and the coin flip was tails when the Pokemon was confused. Regardless of the type of attack, the Pokemon that used the attack itself receives 20 damage. With the current rules, confusion causes 30 damage, but it was 20 at the time of this card coming out, so am I missing something here? I am reading this right, correct? It's just the same rule as it always is. I don't know. And the artwork has a Meowth literally getting hit by 20 damage. Kinda funny. Vending Weezing is a 60 HP Grass Uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the move Gas Explosion, and has the Pokemon power of Poison Mist. Poison Mist has you be able to choose to flip a coin, and with a heads, all poison Pokemon take 20 damage instead of 10 after each player takes their turn, unless Weezing has a status condition. For 3 grass, Gas Explosion does 40, and then Weezing takes 30 damage. If their Pokemon gets knocked out from this, the new active Pokemon gets poisoned. Yeah, this one has a lot going on. Unless you can heal, Weezing won't be around too long if you're choosing to attack. For Poison Mist to do much of anything, you really need to use Gas Explosion to poison their next Pokemon. But the self-damage makes Weezing a bit of a glass cannon. It's an interesting one that really puts an emphasis on poisoning. The artwork is something different too, and is more of a 3D computer style than hand-drawn art. It's just Weezing with a glow in front of an orangish background. And our final Cinnabar Island card is the third bonus one. Ouch! At the Pokemon Mansion. This is another deck idea card, this time a Fire Grass deck consisting of 4 Vending Ponyta, 3 Vending Growlithe, 2 Vending Vulpix, 1 Vending Magmar, 2 Fossil Grimer, 2 Rocket Grimer, 3 Rocket Coughing, 2 Vending Pidgey, 1 Vending Rapidash, 1 Jungle Rapidash, 1 Base Arcanine, 1 Vending Weezing, and 1 Vending Pidgeotto. Wow. So yeah, literally all of the Cinnabar Island number 2 Pokemon are used here, and it's very much Pokemon Mansion themed. It's a bit more vending card based than the Pokemon Tower deck, but arguably better. And this deck could technically be made in TCG2 because they've omitted Vending Coughing and Grimer, 2 cards not in the game. Area 3 is going to be a return to the Safari Zone, with Safari Zone number 2. Sheet 7 contains Scyther, Kangaskhan, and Tauros, with the bonus card of 3-deck battle. Sheet 8 contains Venonat, Kangaskhan, and Nidorina, with the bonus card of Violence in the Safari Zone. And Sheet 9 contains Tauros, Nidorino, and Venonat, with the bonus card of Imakuni's Nasty Plot. Vending Scyther is a 60 HP grass uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the move Slashing Strike. For 2 grass, Slashing Strike does 40 damage and Scyther can't use its attack on the next turn. Honestly, a super basic card. 2 energies for 40 damage every other turn. That's all there is to it. This was also one to get an English release as a Black Star promo for the April 2002 Pokémon League. The artwork has Scyther in motion about to attack. Scyther is already pretty scary by design, so I guess it's a little intimidating here. Not a whole lot to it. Vending Kangaskhan is an 80 HP colorless common, uncommon on the GBC, with the moves Bite and Tail Drop. For 2 colorless, Bite does 20. For 3 colorless, Tail Drop does a whopping 80, but you flip 2 coins, and if either are tails, then it fails. Weird that the tail move fails if you flip it tails, but whatever. This is basically what I was saying that they should have done with one-hit KO moves like Guillotine or Horn Drill. Make it so you need specific outcomes from multiple coin flips for it to work. But it's kind of what we do have here. 80 is a lot of damage that may or may not hit depending on your luck. Or you can always take the safe 20 with Bite. The artwork is a bit of a cartoony looking Kangaskhan with some storm clouds and lightning bolts behind it. I thought it was a tree at first. I don't know. Not really a fan of this one though. Vending Tauros is a 70 HP colorless common with the move Kicking and Stamping. Stamping or Stomping? I don't know. For 2 colorless, it does 20 and then you flip a coin. Heads, it does 10 more. Tails, they switch that Pokemon with one on the bench. A pretty interesting card and really quite good for being a common. 70 HP and it can cause chaos for only 2 colorless energies. Not bad at all. The artwork is an even more cartoony looking Tauros than the Kangaskhan one, as it's just standing in a barren field. I actually kind of like it, although the face looks a bit rushed. Then we have the bonus card of 3-deck battle as one of the extra rule cards. It says, each battling player readies 3 decks with different contents. Next, they put their decks face down in play and decide the order of the decks with which they will battle. Also, they start battling with the decks 1 time each in the decided order. The player who won twice in the end wins. So really, it's just a best of 3 tournament, but with 3 different decks each. Yeah, not really a whole lot of creativity here. If you were playing with a friend, you would possibly already be doing this anyway to try out different decks. I don't know, this one's kinda lame. Maybe if your opponent picked one at random or something. And the artwork is 2 players in front of 3 decks each with 1 arm raised. Glory and praise to the almighty Pokemon deck. Vending Venonat is a 50 HP grass common with the moves Disable and Psybeam. For 1 colorless, Disable has you choose an attack your opponent can't use on the next turn with a heads flip. For 2 grass, Psybeam does 20 and confuses with a heads flip. Kinda cool that these are both actual Venonat moves and that the psychic move of Psybeam takes grass energies to use. Interesting. This also got a re-release in the Pokemon web set. The artwork is 3 Venonat absolutely running for their lives from Pokeballs being thrown around. Look at those scared arms in the air. Poor guy. It's pretty cool though. Vending Nidorina is a 60 HP grass uncommon with the moves Strength in Numbers and Fury Swipes. For 2 grass, Strength in Numbers does 10 and then 10 more for any benched Pokemon in the male or female Nidoran family. A little reminiscent of Jungle Nidoqueen's boyfriend's attack. For 2 grass and a colorless, Fury Swipes does 30 for each heads on 3 flips. Yikes, that's actually scary. 0, 30, 60, or 90 each turn. The artwork has Nidorina standing on the Safari Zone, I guess, looking left. The landscape looks a bit too realistic with the bright blue drawn-in Nidorina standing there. It's fine. Then we have the bonus card of Violence in the Safari Zone. What a name. This is another deck idea to use Safari Zone themed Pokemon. Included are 3 base Nidoran male, 3 jungle Nidoran female, 2 Vending Venonat, 1 Vending Scyther, 2 jungle Goldeen, 2 jungle Rhyhorn, 2 Vending Tauros, 2 Vending Kangaskhan, 1 base Chansey, 1 Vending Nidorino, 1 Vending Nidorina, 1 jungle Venomoth, and 1 jungle Seaking. Wow, lots of options here. And also a 3-type deck too. Rhyhorn being there does fit the Safari Zone theme and all, but it's a lone fighting type in a sea of grass types. Same with Goldeen and Seaking being the only water types. This could be a fun deck to try out, but probably wouldn't be super good or anything. Maybe I'm wrong there. Vending Nidorino is a 60 HP grass uncommon with the move Swift Lunge. For 2 grass, Swift Lunge does 60, but if a tails is flipped, Nidorino takes 20 damage instead. Basically, Nidorino is permanently confused with a 60 damage attack. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I think Vending Nidorina is the far better one, but I mean, this one is still potentially dishing out 60 damage for 2 energies. If you avoid the penalty, that's great, but being confused is so annoying in the main game and the card game. And yes, this one also got a Pokemon Web e-card release later on. And just like with Nidorina, this Nidorina was on the same landscape but looking right. Makes the 2 cards a good pairing at least. And finally, we have the bonus card of Imakuni's Nasty Plot. This is a parody trainer card that says, when you play this card, you may remove damage counters when your opponent isn't looking. And no matter what they ask, pretend you don't know about it. That's amazing and clearly not meant to be taken seriously, but you certainly can take it seriously if you want to. Your opponent better never look away for the rest of the match. And the artwork is also not meant to be taken seriously. Creepy looking Imakuni looking sinister next to a vase. Alright then. Area 4 is the Return to Seafoam Islands with the number 2 set. Sheet 10 contains Staryu, Kingler, and Horsey with the bonus card of Horsey of the Seafoam Islands. Sheet 11 contains Golduck, Staryu, and Slowbro with the bonus card of 3 vs 3 Doug Trio Team Battle. And Sheet 12 contains Horsey, Slowbro, and Seadra with the bonus card of Imakuni's PC. Vending Staryu is a 50 HP water common with the moves Strange Beam and Spinning Attack. For 1 water, Strange Beam does 10, and then on the next turn, none of your water Pokemon that have been damaged have a weakness. A Strange Beam indeed. For 1 water and 1 colorless, Spinning Attack does 20. Yeah, this is kinda cool. For Strange Beam to work though, your water Pokemon have to have damage counters on them, so it is a bit situational. And Spinning Attack is objectively worse than base Staryu's Slap, as that is the exact same attack but 1 less energy. But with more HP and the option of Strange Beam, I think this one is better. I actually like the artwork too, as simple as it is. It's just Staryu on a beach with shells, but it looks cool. Vending Kingler is an 80 HP water uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Saltwater and Double-Edged Claw. For 1 water, Saltwater allows you to search your deck for 3 water energies to attach to Kingler with a heads flip, essentially setting you up for the 4 water energy move of Double-Edged Claw, which does 80, and then all damage done to Kingler on the next turn is doubled. This one is very much a glass cannon card here. Ideally, you are able to use Double-Edged Claw on the second turn thanks to Saltwater being successful, and then you are dishing out a bunch of damage while being vulnerable. It basically changes Kingler's weakness to whatever the type is that your opponent has. It's pretty neat though. I actually really like the artwork too. It's just the standard Kingler pose in somewhat of a rough sketch style over a plain light blue bubble background, but I like it. A lot of these water ones seem to work for me. Vending Horsey is a 40 HP water common with the moves Hide and Water Gun. For 1 colorless, Hide has you prevent all damage and effects done to Horsey on the next turn with a heads flip. For 1 water, Water Gun is the same as it always is. It does 10, but 10 more for each additional water energy on Horsey up to 2 more. Nothing too crazy here, and yet again, I really like the artwork. I guess I'm really into Sumiyoshi Kazuki's style here. And then we get the bonus card that is another deck idea, this time centered around Horsey, which is something different. Horsey of the Seafoam Islands has 3 Vending Horsey, 3 Fossil Psyduck, 2 Vending Staryu, 2 Fossil Krabby, 1 Vending Articuno, 2 Fossil Zubat, 2 Rocket Slowpoke, 1 Vending Seadra, 2 Vending Golduck, 1 Base Starmie, 1 Vending Kingler, and 1 Vending Slowbro. So this is clearly a Seafoam Islands based deck, but why is it called Horsey of the Seafoam Islands? Sure, there are 3 Horsey in the deck, but there are also 3 Psyduck among others. In fact, there are more Golduck than Seadra, so even adding up the evolutions, naming it after Horsey is an odd choice. And it's another tricolor deck of mostly water with some grass and psychic thrown in. I really do like these deck ideas based on certain areas in the main games though. Vending Golduck is a 70 HP water uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Psychic and Wave Splash. For 1 Psychic and 1 colorless, Psychic does 10 and then 10 more for each energy on the defending Pokemon. For 2 water and 1 colorless, Wave Splash does 40 damage. So yeah, they're keeping in the tradition of the fossil versions of giving Golduck moves that take Psychic and water energies, and even giving it the move Psychic. I just want to remind you that Golduck is pure water type. This is one of those cases where the lore behind the Pokemon doesn't match the typing, but that's a whole other video. It's a pretty decent card though, just dishing out damage and that's it. A simple 2-type card. The artwork has Golduck swimming away from a waterfall in what looks to be pretty fast. This one is okay. Vending Slowbro is a 90 HP Psychic Common, yeah, a common, with the moves Big Yawn and Big Snore. For 1 Psychic, Big Yawn puts both active Pokemon to sleep. For 2 Psychic, Big Snore does 30, but only if Slowbro is asleep. Something different here. Yawn and Snore do become moves in Gen 3 and 2 respectively, so Vending Slowbro is like the prototype for these. It's cool that Slowbro can only do anything if it's asleep, and to do so, you're constantly putting the defending Pokemon to sleep too. It's not reliable, but it's a fun one. The artwork has Slowbro happily diving into the water looking at its tail or whatever, clearly not asleep in any way. The bonus card is one that I was very intrigued to see what it was based on the name alone. 3 vs 3 Dugtrio Team Battle. What could that even mean? Well, it's an extra rules card that says, 3 people form a team, each bringing decks with different contents, and battle team versus team. Each team decides the order its members will battle in, and the battles begin one-on-one. When all 3 persons' battles are over, the team that won twice wins. Oh, so it's just 2 teams of 3 battling in a tournament style. There's no crossover or anything, you're just on a team playing against one other person. What does this have to do with Dugtrio? Because Dugtrio is just 3 Diglett? What about Magneton or Dodrio? I was thinking like it's a massive 6-person match and you're all competing to get Dugtrio or something, I don't know. Dugtrio is completely meaningless here. I gotta say, these extra rules cards aren't blowing me away or anything. Vending Seadra is a 70 HP Water Uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the move Water Bomb. For 2 water, Water Bomb does 20, and then 10 more for each water energy up to 2 more, but divided any way among your opponent's bench. Heck yeah. This is just Water Gun, but now you're dishing out damage to multiple Mons. I'm always a fan of damaging benches, so this is a cool card. Also a fan of the artwork here too. 2 Seadra just playing in the water, living their best lives. And finally, the last bonus card is yet another Imakuni based one. Imakuni's PC is a pass card that says, Imakuni has a PC too. On days off, he gets inside it and remembers all sorts of memories. Well, alright then. Yeah, I got nothing here. Let's move on. Area 5 is the Return to Cerulean Cave with the number 2 set. Sheet 13 contains Mewtwo, Arbok, and Kadabra with the bonus card of Deck Exchange. Sheet 14 contains Kadabra, Hypno, and Sandslash with the bonus card of The Last Cave, Cerulean. Sheet 15 contains Sandslash, Rhydon, and Mewtwo with the bonus card of Pokemon Machine. Vending Mewtwo is an 80 HP Psychic Common, rare on the GBC, with the moves Complete Recovery and Psycho Blast. Wow. For 2 Psychic, Complete Recovery is just how it sounds. Remove all damage counters, status conditions, and energies from Mewtwo. For 2 Psychic and 1 Colorless, Psycho Blast does 30, and your opponent discards an energy on the defending Pokemon with the heads flip. As expected, yeah, Mewtwo is pretty good. For how crazy powerful Mewtwo is in the main games, I do feel like they downplay Mewtwo in the card game, but also like, that's how it should be. It would suck to have this ultra powerful card out in every deck just steamrolling everything. You know, kinda like the modern cards. Boom! And this artwork was the winning illustration for a Mewtwo artwork contest to help coincide with the release of Pokemon the First movie. It's pretty cool. I like the sinister psychic lightning in the dark sky. Vending Arbok is a 60 HP Grass Uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Wrap and Deadly Poison. For 1 Grass and 1 Colorless, Wrap does 20 and paralyzes with a heads flip. For 3 Grass, Deadly Poison does 30 and auto poisons. And on top of that, it does 40 instead of 30 if the defending Pokemon was already poisoned. Yikes, Arbok. I can see this card being able to dominate. Auto Poison is quite scary, and you are dishing out a ton of damage in only a couple turns. And it has the option of paralyzing with Wrap. They went all out with Arbok here. The Arbok is fantastic too. Arbok looking scary in the Cerulean Cave. Yeah, I love this card, and I've always been pretty indifferent toward Arbok. Vending Kadabra 2 is the only other Series 3 card not in TCG2. Yeah, stay tuned for part 4. Deck Exchange is our next super fun extra rules card. Let's see what we get here. Each player brings a deck and battles 3 times. They battle the first time with their deck, the second time they exchange decks, and the third time with their decks once more. A player gets 1 point each time he or she won with his or her deck, and 2 points when he or she won with his or her opponent's deck. With the results of the 3 battles, the player with the higher total number of points wins. Okay, so it's just a 3-game tournament, except you're using each other's deck for game 2. Well, that's something at least. This is probably the best extra rules card, I guess? Vending Hypno is a 60 HP Psychic Uncommon with the move Mind Shock, and has the Pokemon power of Puppet Master. Puppet Master is actually very unique. If you have a Clefairy Doll Trainer card as your active Pokemon, a card that acts as a 10 HP shield that doesn't count for a prize when it gets knocked out, it can use Hypno's Mind Shock move if Hypno has enough energies on it. That's super fun. For 2 Psychic, Mind Shock does 30 and ignores all weaknesses and resistances. The Psychic version of Sonic Boom. I love that Pokemon power. It's like you get to use Hypno for a free turn or more and not have the consequence of your opponent taking a prize once the Clefairy Doll is knocked out. Mind Shock isn't breaking new ground or anything, but it's still 30 damage for 2 energies that can break through resistances. I like this card a lot. Even the artwork is great. Hypno is terrifying if you think about it, and it knows it. Then we have my boy, Vending Sandslash, obviously one I'm familiar with from my Sandshrew Sandslash only challenge in TCG2. It's a 70 HP fighting common, uncommon on the GBC, with the moves Sand Veil and Rolling Needle. For 1 fighting, Sand Veil prevents all damage done to Sandslash on the next turn with a heads flip. For 3 fighting, Rolling Needle does 40 and then you flip 3 coins. It does 10 more for each heads, and Sandslash also takes damage for each heads flip. I do like this card, but it is a self-damaging move, and those are always risky to use. I still like this one more than Fossil Sandslash because Fury Swipes is so annoying to rely on. But yeah, possibly dishing out up to 70 damage a turn is quite good, even though Sandslash will also be taking damage if this happens. I definitely love the artwork too. They did one of my favorite Pokemon of all time justice here. The Last Cave, Cerulean, is yet another deck idea. This one has 2 Vending Sandshrew, 2 base Sandshrew, 3 Jungle Rhyhorn, 3 base Abra, 2 base Drowsy, 3 Vending Mewtwo, 3 base Doduo, 3 Vending Sandslash, 2 Vending Rhydon, 2 Vending Kadabra, 1 Vending Hypno, and 1 Jungle Dodrio. Yeah, I think this would be a fun deck. A Fighting Psychic combo is a good combo, plus it has 2 different Sandshrew here, so I'm naturally drawn to it. However, the addition of Kadabra here means that it can't be made in TCG2, so that sucks. Vending Rhydon is an 80 HP fighting uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Mountain Break and 1-2 Strike. For 1 fighting, Mountain Break does 10, and then you discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Any fighting energies discarded go into your hand instead. For 3 fighting, 1-2 Strike does 30, and with a heads, 20 more. A very interesting card. Mountain Break is very risky to use, especially if it's late in the game and you're at risk of running out of cards, but it could also be a quick way to get energies if you're low. It helps you use 1-2 Strike quicker than usual, possibly dishing out 50 damage a turn. Yeah, not bad at all. The artwork is kinda strange though. Rhydon is scratching its arm, pretending to roll up its sleeve for a brawl. I'm not really sure. The cave looks pretty cheaply done though, to be honest. And finally, we have the bonus card of Pokemon Machine. It's literally just a drawing of a machine making Pokemon cards. That's it. At the bottom is a little drawing of Uyama, and it says, "This here is the secret Pokemon card factory." So isn't it amazing? Why, it certainly is, Uyama. It certainly is. And we've finally reached the last area in the last set of sheets in the entire Vending series. The grand finale of the whole series. It's been a long ride, let me tell you. Area 6 is the Sea Cottage. Sheet 16 contains Pokemon Retransfer, Vending Kadabra 1, and Machoke with the bonus card of Bill's PC. Sheet 17 contains Graveler, Omanite, Pokemon Retransfer, and Bill's PC again. Sheet 18 contains Graveler, Haunter, and Machoke with the bonus card of Lose? Pokemon Retransfer is a common trainer card, rare on the GBC, that has you put an evolution card from your discard pile on top of your deck. It was also reprinted in the Pokemon web series. I love this artwork though. A Primeape being resurrected, ready to enact revenge on its enemies. Heck yeah, Primeape is one of my favorites. Not a whole lot to say about it though, it's just a good trainer card. Vending Kadabra 1 is the one that did make it onto the GBC. It is a 60 HP Psychic Uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Psycho Panic and Blink. For 2 Psychic, Psycho Panic does 30 and then doubles if the defending Pokemon is Psychic type. For 3 Psychic, Blink does 30, and then if Kadabra is damaged on the next turn, That damage is prevented with a heads flip. So this is a strange one. The majority of psychic types are already weak to psychic, so at first it seems like Psycho Panic doesn't do much. It is basically there to give the ghost types a weakness to psychic when they don't normally have a weakness at all. So it's situational, but still a 30 damage attack for 2 energies. Blink is pretty awesome though. Kadabra may not even be taking damage half the time. The artwork has Kadabra surrounded by a magic act, complete with a question mark box, a sword, a top hat, and some rings. Well, that's an idea. It does make it kinda awkward if you know its history with the Uri Geller lawsuit though. Vending Machoke is a 60 HP fighting common, uncommon on the GVC, with the moves Wicked Jab and Focus Blast. For 1 fighting and 1 colorless, Wicked Jab does 20 and paralyzes with a heads flip. For 3 colorless, Focus Blast does 20 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon with a heads flip, and you count weakness and resistance. Yeah, it's also cool that Focus Blast became a main game move in Gen 4. This is a pretty sweet card too. It's a rare fighting type card that can cause paralysis with 1 move, and then you are able to damage any Pokemon you want, although you need a heads flip. The artwork has the super strong Machoke in the water, straight up lifting a platform with a Ditto, Sandshrew, Doduo, and Chansey on it. You are strong AF, my guy. Bill's PC is a pass card, which means it can't be used in games, but just try and stop me, you know? It says, this card is needed to exchange either an Omanite, Haunter, Machoke, Graveler, or Kadabra for its corresponding evolution card. But actually, there's a lot to this card. It is not in reference to getting these cards during a game, but it was literally a campaign where you can physically mail in this pass card with a card of any of the Pokemon listed in order to receive a promo version of your choice of Omastar, Gengar, Machamp, Golem, or Alakazam. That's such a cool idea, but it's kinda weird that Omastar is one included here. The other 4 are Pokemon that only evolve in the main games through trading, so this is an absolutely perfect representation of that for the card game. You are quite literally trading in your Machoke to evolve it into Machamp. But why Omastar? It doesn't evolve through trading, and it's even more glaring that Kabutops isn't included too. Those 2 are a bonded pair. Either way, I would have loved this back in the day. I probably would have spent hours debating on what card I wanted to get. The 90s. Vending Graveler 2 is a 60 HP fighting common, uncommon on the GBC, with the move Boulder Smash. For 2 fighting and 1 colorless, Boulder Smash does 30, and then you flip 2 coins. For each heads, put a damage counter on any of your opponent's Pokemon. Basic, but awesome. You knew I was going to say that. The artwork is interesting though. It's like Graveler is busting out of some lab equipment. Maybe it's about to be traded to become a Golem? Vending Omanite 2 is a 50 HP water uncommon with the move Surf and has the Pokemon power of Fossil Guidance. Fossil Guidance has you be able to put a mysterious fossil card from your discard pile into your hand with a heads flip, and if Omanite doesn't have a status condition. Pretty essential for a fossil-based deck. For 2 water, Surf does 30. So they're keeping with tradition of the fossil Pokemon all having Pokemon powers. I like that though. It's a pretty good card too. I'm just still a little confused as to why Omanite for this idea. The second version of Vending Haunter is a 60 HP Psychic Uncommon, rare on the GBC, with the moves Eerie Light and Grudge. For 1 Psychic, Eerie Light causes confusion with a heads flip. For 2 Psychic, Grudge does 20, and 10 more for each prize card your opponent has already taken. Yeah, now we're talking. The Ghost Pokemon always have these fun gimmicks that I love. This one isn't too gimmicky, but it's cool that the move is more powerful the closer your opponent is to winning. Grudge also became a move in Gen 3 as well. The artwork is an interesting take on Haunter flying out of a house with a bright blue sky behind it. I guess it can be a ghost during the day too, so that makes sense. But oh boy everyone, we have reached our very last card in the whole series. You know, until I talk about the ones I skipped over for part 4. And what an anticlimactic letdown this card is. Or is it? Lose is just a drawing of Imakuni that says, even if you lost, is it really so bad? If I'm making a challenge video, Imakuni, absolutely yes. It is bad, because then I have to redo the entire match. Get out of here with that, it's about the journey, not the destination garbage. Sure, it's a good message that I agree with, but just stop it. And wow, we did it everyone. I gave a look at every single card in the Vending series that are featured in TCG2. And I would say that I'm a pretty big fan of this set. I'll say it again that I would have absolutely loved it if we got these vending machines in North America. I would have brought back so many cans and bottles to get money to get these sheets, and I'm very confident that I wouldn't be alone in this. Obviously, they aren't all winners, but they really tried to do some interesting things here, and I really appreciate that. These are some extremely fun cards, and I'm glad that we have access to most of them if you ever play TCG2. But of course, we aren't done quite yet. This is only part 3 in the 4-part miniseries, so please join me next time as we talk about the rest. All of the cards that didn't quite make the cut for whatever reason that we will certainly discuss and try to figure out why they were omitted. And that's not all, we will also be discussing the complete opposite, the cards that were exclusive to TCG2. There aren't many, but they do need to be mentioned. And there will also be a bonus edition at the end. I'm also going to mention all of the promo cards that you could get by mailing in Bill's PC card. It'll be both a finale and an epilogue. And as always, a huge thank you to all of these lovely people here who chose to help support the channel with all of their assigned cards. I'm seriously forever grateful. If you ever want to get your own assigned virtual card and some Paraspectre swag, check out patreon.com/Paraspectre to see what is offered. If you can't or don't want to do that, then I still thank you for enjoying this series and all of my other videos with me. Stay tuned for part 4. Paraspectre will return.